It has literally been like 2 months since I filmed. It's ridiculous. I have a little bit of stitching to show. I have a ton of books that I've read to talk about. Like I had to make a list of all the books that I read. And yeah, I'll pull some plants and show you guys. It's November 1st. I think I talked to you guys at the end of August. So we've missed September and October, the beginning of the burr months, and we missed it. But I'm here. Growing out the bangs again, because bangs sitting on my forehead, like, well, I think they look pretty good on me. I want hair off my face. I want hair off my face. So we're back to this. I'm actually going to, I think, color my hair again tonight, because I've got to color about once a month. My hair grows pretty fast. What have I been doing? If you've watched my vlogs, I have the one for October that is probably going to go up before this. And let's see, August, September. Jim and I took a whole week off in September. So that was nice. We didn't go anywhere. We just stayed here and hung out. Oh, I got some new tattoos. Let's stand up. I got this guy. Yes, I know he's weird. He's a snail, but I love him and I think he's cute. And then I got this guy who is so super cute. So I think to fill in this space here, I think I'm going to get some mushrooms popping up behind him, and then maybe a spider coming down off of here. The tattoo guy was like, do you want to move the snail up, or do you want him across the bottom, and then we'll figure out the rest later? And I was like, that's a problem for another day. Permanently on my body, problem for another day. I also got sick at the beginning of October. So I was planning to film my September catch-up Flosstube at the beginning of October, but then I got sick. I'm still coughing. And Buster didn't get sick. He had a little bit of a vet emergency that he's almost completely healed from. I'm going to try not to be gross, but for those of you that really care about Buster, I'm going to tell you what happened. It was October 2nd, the morning of October 2nd. Jim woke me up and he was like, I need you to come downstairs. Something's wrong with Buster. So I got up, I came downstairs, and there was a lot of blood around his food bowls, like splatters and puddles, and essentially we were really scared because it was coming from what we believed to be his rectum, and we were really scared. We got him in the carrier, we got him to the vet immediately, and it wasn't pretty, but it was not as bad as we thought it was. We thought it was maybe some kind of internal cancer tumor blockage. We didn't know, but it was an anal gland issue. Not ideal, not life-ending. So it had very quickly become abscessed and burst. I kind of feel like a bad cat mom because I didn't realize it. I feel like I'm really observant of Buster, and I didn't notice it before it happened, but I don't know that I would have been able to stop it from happening. I don't know. But for the past month, we've just been taking care of Buster. The first 2 weeks was like cleaning and us kind of being Buster's nurses and taking care of the horrific opened wound until it scabbed over and is now like healed. anyway, that's a lot has happened. Plus, it's been end of grant year, beginning of new grant year, building budgets, teaching a CASA class of volunteers. I hired someone new and they started at the beginning of October. So I've been training. It's been a lot, a lot. It's just a lot this time of year. Mine and Jim's anniversary. We celebrated a 12-year anniversary the day after Buster's ass exploded. And so just a lot. A lot has been happening. I haven't been stitching as much because when a lot's going on, I just want to lay right here on this couch and watch television. Or I curl up in a bath or something and read, which is why I've read all of these books, plus some audiobooks. I'm gonna cough. We're gonna take a couple of cough pauses, take a drink of water, and then I'll show you stitching. What you don't know is in the interim, about 30 minutes passed because Jim came home and sat down and talked. But he also brought me a Coke from McDonald's. So I'm not complaining because McDonald's has the absolute best Coke. Cross stitch. In the past 2 months, I've only worked on 3 different projects, which is honestly feels a little sad. But at this time of year, it's hard for me to focus. Worked on this some more because it is so fun. It's just like coloring. You do the outlines and then you fill it in. It's so much fun. So I got a good bit done on this year. This is edge to edge. How big it's going to be. A little focus on what I did this go around. I cannot recommend this project enough. It is so fun. I will say I'm a little concerned. This is why I haven't filmed, because I hate the fact that I keep clearing my throat. My 936s, like some of them feel a little, like my newer ones I'm getting feel a little different than what I've been stitching with. But you can't tell. You can't tell. It's so, the difference, the dye-lot difference is so minimal. You can't tell. So yes, doing this with DMC, doing this on a 2/2 on a 36 count piece of just plain Zweigart linen, because it's full coverage and it really doesn't matter what you stitch it on if you're stitching all of it. I annoy myself. And like, I know I'm annoying at work right now because I just feel like I'm constantly clearing my throat and coughing. I can't help it. The next thing I worked on, I don't have the chart for because I actually gave it to Megan yesterday. We hung out and stitch. But I finished this piece. I finished it the day after the Dark October seance that we had. We did that as per usual, but I haven't filmed to tell you guys about it. So if you're not on Instagram, there's that. So I finished Blackbird Designs Halloween Eve. Get this back where you can see it. I stitched this on a piece of 36 count Picture This Plus Bramble with all the called for threads. And I'll get up where you can see. It just turned out really nicely. I put my initials on there, but I didn't fill in the year. They've got it where you can put a year in right here, and I don't know, I just put my initials in. I love how all of the variegated oranges come into play together. And then the color of the blackbird, So pretty. So I was telling Megan yesterday too, I finished a decent amount of stuff this year, but I have gotten nothing framed. I've always been really good about, I'll finish a couple of things and I'll take them to the framers and I'll get them on my wall. Not so much this year. I started doing therapy this year. I did that for a while. I started getting massages this year, and my disposable income for things like framing, which is expensive, just isn't there as much. So, I mean, I need to take something. I have one little gift certificate that won't cover an entire piece, but it'll cover most of one. So I need to do that. But now it's like time to buy Christmas again. So it's difficult. Next project I started, and I put it in this bag that Megan actually got for me. And it's so cute. This one is from Maggie G Makes, who I know that I have talked about on this channel before. Let's put this where it'll... So cute. So I started... Let me get this out. I wanted another Halloweenish blackbird going since I finished that one. And I have been thinking for a while... I've done this. I have it framed over there. But I've been thinking for a while that I want to stitch this. I know Olivia B has this finished and on her wall. And whenever I see it, I think that looks really nice. So, I kitted it up and got it started. Don't have a lot done at all. I pulled out a piece of, this is Picture This Plus Oaken. And it's a little bit darker, I think, than what they have it stitched on, but I kind of wanted to darken the vibe just a little. I've got all of the called for threads here. But I will say, I do not like this. This feels like it doesn't fit. So it is for, see that vase right there? So I pulled instead Color and Cotton Nickel. So it's kind of a gray with a blue tint instead of dungarees. I wasn't sure I was going to use Old Purple paint. That's the color of the house. Because last I have gotten some Old Purple paint, it's been lighter than it used to be. But this one came in and isn't bad. So maybe I'll stick with it. I also put a newer Sampler Threads color in here that maybe I'll use for something. I don't know. Because when this was designed, Witching Hour didn't exist. I kind of feel like maybe they would have added this in somewhere just because it's a deep, deep purple in the name. I don't know. We'll see. So, yeah. I'm working on it. I'll pull this out and get some more work on it tonight. A little bit of haul and gifts. I showed you the bag. Had another bag gifted to me, and if I showed this last time, it's been 2 months. I'm so sorry. But this came in the mail as a gift anonymously, and I had said someone go buy this before I do, and then it sold pretty quickly, and I was like, well, they took me at my word. That was good. But no, it came with this card. Said, Emily, one of your sweet viewers purchased this for you and asked me to send it to you. She would like to remain anonymous, but wants you to know she sees you, sees how hard you work and how much you give, and just wants to say thank you from a Casa Kiddo. if you're new here, I run a CASA program that covers 2 counties in Georgia. And CASA is court-appointed special advocates. And I train volunteers and staff to advocate for children in the foster care system or in the court system in those 2 counties. And just for what's in their best interest, we advocate for them in court. And it's a lot of work. But it's pretty rewarding. So, thank you. I bought this for myself. I mean, the little mushrooms, the little rabbit. It screams fall. And this is Starry Owl Stitchery. It's perfection. And like, there's even a little bat, little fox. It was one of those I knew I couldn't say no to. There's a duck. Okay, now I'm just seeing all kinds of stuff I didn't even see before. There's a little bat there and a cricket. Oh my gosh. Look at this. The back fabric. You got bats and spiders. And I think I saw a snail. There's a little mouse. This is great. This is great. Snail. Fantastic fabric. So I'll put something in here and it'll be great. Oh, the fabric's on the inside too, just a lighter one. Sorry, y'all don't want to watch me look at fabric all day. This could potentially go in there. I kind of want to start it soon. I had to go on 1 2 3 Stitch to get a couple of the threads that I didn't have. And if I didn't say, the name of this piece in this sister's booklets, in the sister's Blackbird book, is Witch No More. So as I was going on 1 2 3 Stitch and getting a couple of threads that I didn't have for Witch No More, I was like, well, let's see what's new on here. I haven't bought anything new for a while. You kind of want to make your $4 shipping worth it. So I left with this. Cats and Cocoa by the Artsy Housewife. And I went ahead and got the threads that they had in stock, the variegated threads for it. So I think that would be pretty cute in there. Maybe. Let's see. I could put this on the other half of the fabric that I'm using, because I had a scrap of this oaken. Like, this was a fat half at one point, and I've cut on it and cut on it until here we are. And I could use what's left for this. They use Dulce de Leche by Fiber on a Whim and Ada. But I'll obviously use linen. And I think that that could be a good match. I'll do that a lot. I'll have all this fabric upstairs. In fact, I just got a couple of more. I store it in the, what's the word I'm looking for? The acid-free, like, scrapbooking boxes. And I just bought a couple more of those to fit all the fabric in. And like, when I am looking to start something new, sometimes I'll be like, oh, there's a little scrap of something, that'll be fine. Because I hate like using, am I the only one that does that? It's all the stitching I have. Let's chat books. Pause to cough. Before I start talking books, I'm also going to tell you that I've been watching a ton of television. Probably too much, but sometimes you just don't want to stitch and you want to just lay down and watch TV. Excuse me, sorry. So, I've been watching an old show that I never watched, and it is not family friendly. So if you are offended at all by anything, Been watching Shameless. There's 11 seasons of it, and I'm on season 9. It's so good. But it is not family friendly. So if you are easily offended by language or anything that could potentially be a trigger warning ever, don't watch it. On to books. The first book that I have read since I talked to you guys last time is Nat Cassidy's When the Wolf Comes Home. This is the first Nat Cassidy book that I have read. I think I was 100 pages in. I know exactly the scene that it was in, and I was like, I'm going to hate this book. I liked it. It came back, and I liked it, but it is definitely an odd, weird horror book. I have read that there is something called like cosmic horror. Maybe it falls kind of into that, but the back of it says, an imaginative, adrenaline-fueled wild through the babysitting job from hell, brims with both horror and heart. One night, Jess, a struggling actress, finds a 5-year-old runaway hiding in the bushes outside her apartment. After a violent, bloody encounter with the boy's father, she and the boy find themselves running for their lives. As they attempt to evade the boy's increasingly desperate father, horrifying incidents of butchery follow them. At first, Jess thinks she understands what they're up against, but then she learns that there's more to these surreal and grisly events than she could have ever imagined. And that's when the wolf finally comes home. No one will be spared. It's wild. Very imaginative. Goes in a direction you don't expect. But at the end, I was like, okay. If you don't like bizarre, where is this going horror, not for you. I read this in September. This has been sitting on my shelf, and I've been waiting to read this. Oh, hold on. I read a bunch of stuff before this. Audiobook or like Kindle type book. Okay, so next. Murder Road by Simone St. James. It was essentially about this couple who they leave for their honeymoon, and they pick up this hitchhiker, and then they get pulled into this like murder investigation that's also has a paranormal aspect. It was a decent murder, whodunit, paranormal book. I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5 though, because it was fine. It was fine. It's been so long ago since I read that. I'm trying to remember more details. Plus, I don't have the physical book to like show you and talk about. It was fine. If your library has it on audiobook, it was enjoyable. The next thing that I read, I read for a workbook club, and I did not like it at all. Mother-Daughter Murder Night. Did not like it. It's just, it's not my kind of book. There is the grandmother, I think her name was Lana, discovers very early on in the book that she is sick. She's going to need to move to be with her daughter and her granddaughter so that she can undergo treatment and that she can have somebody there to take care of her or be near her. So she moves to live with them, and they start trying to solve this murder together. It's kind of a cozy murder mystery-ish. I was bored most of the book. It's just not my jam. The next book I read, I got as an ARC through NetGalley, and I didn't like it either. I just had a bad run there, like several books that were just a bad run. The next one is Bad Things Happened in This Room by Marie Still. I'm actually really glad that I got this as a free copy because I was so interested in this book. I had planned on buying it. Glad I didn't buy it. I stayed confused reading this book pretty much the entire time. And I don't think that that is a lack of intelligence on my part. It's supposed to be an unreliable narrator, and I think you're supposed to not know what's going on most of the time. Honestly, I feel like someone read the yellow wallpaper and said, I'm going to take that idea and expand it into a more confusing, longer book. I didn't like it. I don't even know how to explain it. The character has a garden and a husband and maybe had a daughter. And all of this, like, she's trying to figure out if she's going crazy or if other people are crazy, if what... It wasn't good. And maybe it's just not the book for me, but I did not like it. I don't mind a book that ends and you have to kind of wrap your head around what really happened, but I need to understand part of what happened. And I don't feel like that wrapped anything up enough where I was comfortable. I just remained confused. The next book that I read, I got an audiobook from my library. It's a memoir, needed to mix things up, do something totally different. It was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I love a good memoir. I loved this memoir. It was very good. I knew it was going to be good. Excuse me, because everyone seems to love it. It gets consistently 4 or 5 stars. She tells the story about how she got into acting as a young child, how her mother pushed her to that, how she developed eating disorders, and how basically her mother pushed her to that, and how she developed issues with alcohol and her family issues and then acting issues. And it was just really raw and authentic and real, and the bravery of just putting all that out there. If any of that would hit home with you, it was a really good read. Now to September House. I told you I read a ton before I got to this one. Okay, so September House. This, the blurb on the front says, just when you thought you'd seen everything a haunted house novel could do, this book comes along. Grady Hendrix. And I bought this book used, and can I just say, I am so mad that somebody just broke the spine. The entire time I was reading this, like, the fact that that spine was ripped right there just made me sad. But it is what it is. When Margaret and her husband Hal bought the large Victorian house on Hawthorne Street for sale at a surprisingly reasonable price, they couldn't believe that finally had a home of their own. Then they discovered the hauntings. Every September, the walls drip blood. The ghosts of former inhabitants appear, and all of them are terrified of something that lurks in the basement. Most people would flee. Margaret is not most people. After 4 years, Margaret has learned how to live with the house. It's her house, after all, but Hal can't take it anymore, and he leaves abruptly. Now he's not returning calls, and their daughter, Catherine, who knows nothing about the hauntings, arrives, intent on looking for her missing father. To make things worse, September has just begun, and with every attempt Margaret and Catherine make to find Hal, the hauntings grow more harrowing, because there are some secrets the house needs to keep. Was it perfect? No. But I kind of loved this book. It was a wild haunted house book, unlike any I've read before. Like, there is a ghost character in this book that is a maid who literally cleans. Like, Margaret becomes friends with her, and like she just makes her breakfast and cleans the house, and like they're like just almost buddies. It's such a, but then there are other ghosts who are not hospitable. It's just such an interesting book. I really enjoyed reading this. And if you want a good spooky fall read with a little bit of gore, go for it. Next thing I read was Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. This was my second Rachel Harrison book. I liked my first Rachel Harrison book, but I didn't love it. I loved this one. And I had heard people say that Such Sharp Teeth like is a really heartfelt horror. It is. It is. As you can see, it's a werewolf novel. Says, Rory Morris isn't thrilled to be moving back to her hometown, even if it's temporary. There are bad memories there, but her twin sister Scarlett is pregnant, estranged from the baby's father, and needs support, so Rory returns to the place she thought she put in her rear view. After a night out at a bar where she runs into Ian, an old almost flame, she hits a large animal with her car, and when she gets out to investigate, she's attacked. Rory survives miraculously, but life begins to look and feel different. She's unnaturally strong, has an aversion to silver, and suddenly the moon has her in its thrall. She's changing into someone else, something else, maybe even a monster. But does that mean she's putting those close to her in danger? Or is embracing the wildness inside her the key to acceptance? This dark, comedic love story is a brilliantly layered portrait of trauma, rage, and vulnerability. I love a werewolf movie or book, and the fact that this is a girl turning into a werewolf. I also love how it very delicately and very well dealt with some trauma that she went through in her childhood that she had to kind of face again after she came home, and working on her relationship with her mother. And it was really well written, and the characters were really well developed. And at the end of it, I kind of didn't want it to be over. And that's when you know a book is really good. Like, I would read a sequel to this. How am I still congested? The next thing I read, going in October, I had never read The Haunting of Hill House. So I did. And it was fine. This book was written in, hold on, I want to get the year correct, 1959. What scared us in 1959 does not really scare me now. I found this book a little creepy, but I'm glad I read it. I won't resell it. I'll keep The Haunting of Hill House on my shelf. But I will move on to try to find other haunted house books that do more for me. I enjoyed, I think I talked about one not that long ago that I read that I felt like reminded me a lot of The Shining. What was the name of that one? Burnt Offerings. I think I liked Burnt Offerings more than this. It was written in the 70s. But it wasn't a bad book. I think it's wrong for this time. If you enjoyed The Haunting of Hill House, the miniseries, the recent one, it pulls names from this book, but it is no way the same storyline. So if you're like, Emily, that was really scary, this is nothing like that. This is more like maybe the old black and white movie, potentially. I rewatched The Haunting because I was thinking that it was something like that with like Liam Neeson. No, that one even goes a weird direction that isn't this. Read a classic. Expect it to feel like it was written in the 50s. How about that? Next, I read an audiobook called This Wretched Valley by Jenny Kiefer. Did not like it. It started off with one tone and then moved into a completely different tone. You thought it was going to be well, I won't even necessarily say what I thought it was going to be, but it moved into a really intense, way too full of adjectives and similes, gory body horror, descriptive of deaths and ghosts in this forest. Basically, this group of rock climbers were going out into the woods to climb this newly discovered rock for the first time, and the woods won't let them leave. Somebody gets hurt, they try to leave, they can't. None of their devices work, the GPS or anything like that. There are these ghosts in the woods, but they only like show themselves to like one person at a time. So nobody wants to talk about it because they think they're going crazy instead of it's something that's really happening. And then it's like turning people against each other. The writing, I think, is what I had a problem with. I think it would make a really good movie, like a slasher horror in the woods movie with a lot of editing and rewriting. But it was just too descriptive. Like, everything that's said doesn't need to end with like. Anyway. The next thing I read was for a work book club again. We read Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Morena Garcia. What did I even give this? I thought this was really good. I think that we are in a time where it's cool to write about mushrooms. So, no, there's kind of a mushroom storyline in here. And this haunted house and this weird twisted family. I'll read you after receiving a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin, Noemi Taboda. I read it. I didn't do the audiobook, so I'm not sure on the pronunciation. Heads to High Place, a distant house in the Mexican countryside, unsure what she will find. Noemi is an unlikely rescuer. She's a glamorous debutante, more suited to cocktail parties than amateur sleuthing, but she's also tough, smart, and not afraid. Not of her cousin's new English husband, a stranger who is both menacing and alluring. Not of his father, the ancient patriarch who seems fascinated by her. Not even of the house itself, which begins to invade her dreams with visions of blood and doom. Her only ally in this inhospitable place is the family's youngest son, but he too may be hiding something dark. For there are many secrets behind the walls of High Place, as she discovers that she begins to unearth stories of violence and madness. Mesmerized by this terrifying yet seductive world, she may soon find it impossible to save her cousin or even escape this enigmatic house. This was a solid 4. The ending threw me a little, and I think several of us in book club kind of agreed. It was still good. Like, it was a good story. It's set in like 1950. Which I enjoy a good historical book that takes us away from the ability to use laptops or cell phones or anything like that. It's definitely worth a read. I enjoyed it. The next book I finished last night, and I loved this book. This is The Lamb by Lucy Rose. I read this for another work book club. We started a second one as a spin-off of the first, of books that some of us wanted to read and talk about that aren't work appropriate. We read Tender as the Flesh in our first one, which is a dystopian, cannibalistic future. And then this one is kind of a spin-off from that choice. It says, Margot and Mama have lived by the forest ever since Margot can remember. When Margot is not at school, they spend quiet days together in their cottage, waiting for strangers to knock on their door. Strays, Mama calls them. People who have strayed too far from the road. Mama loves the strays. She feeds them wine, keeps them warm. Then she satisfies her burning appetite by picking apart their bodies. But Mama's want is stronger than her hunger sometimes, and when a beautiful white-toothed stray named Eden turns up in the heart of a snowstorm, Margot must confront the shifting dynamics of her family, untangle her own desires, and make her bid for freedom. With this gothic coming-of-age tale, debut novelist Lucy Rose explores how women swallow their anger, desire, and animal instincts and wrings the relationship between mother and daughter until blood drips from it. Like, having finished that last night, that gave me chills. This girl's mother is a monster. There's no other way to put it. She is a monster. And as a social worker, like, I read this book and go, oh my God. It's gory. It's graphic at times. I mean, they're eating people. Let's read the first line of chapter 1. On my 4th birthday, I plucked 6 severed fingers from the shower drain. That's sentence 1. Seeing this young girl grow up in this household, and like the people that she meets when she goes to school and coming home from school, and just her growth as a character and how it ends. I cannot wait to talk about this book at book club, but it's a couple of weeks away. And one of my coworkers finished it earlier this week, and he stopped me in the break room. He was like, have you finished The Lamb? And I was like, I'm about 2/3 the way through it. I'll finish it this weekend, which I did. And he said, you know, you guys picked that book. And I was like, I'm going to hate this book. And he said, I was prepared to hate it. He said, I loved it. And I was like, I'm loving it. So it's messed up, but it has heart, damn it. Right here on the inside flap, it says a folktale, a horror story, a love story, an enchantment. From an incendiary new talent, a contemporary queer folktale about a mother and daughter living in the woods. It's so good. It was so good. I'm almost done with a thriller audiobook that I'm reading right now as well. A Ruth Ware, I've never read her before, called In a Dark, Dark Wood. It's thriller. It's a thriller. It's everything I expected it to be once I got started and kind of knew what the plot was going to be. You know, typical red herring. This is who ended up being the person, and I'm right at the end, so like I know how the ending is going. It's a good thriller. I have another Ruth Ware book on my shelf upstairs, so it makes me go, okay, I will definitely read that one next. Well, not next, but those are all my books. I have here on the table, I'm sharing my current obsession, which is my obsession every year at this time. If you know Mallomars, you know. If you don't know Mallomars, learn. It's dark chocolate marshmallow graham cracker. It's like a s'more, and they're only available this time of year. Like, it says they're dark chocolate, enjoyed for over 100 years. It says they were created by Nabisco in 1913 and first sold to a grocer in West Hoboken, New Jersey. Essentially, they're only available in the colder months because back when they were first created, they would melt in the summer months during transport. So they were like, well, we'll just make it when it's cold outside. And they've never stopped doing that, even though we have the technology, which is a love-hate thing for me. I love that it's a treat that I can wait for every fall, But then sometimes in the summer, you just want a damn Malamar, you know? So yeah, check out your grocery stores for Malamars this time of year. I'm going to pause and collect some plants. We're going to show you plants, and then we'll be done. All right, we're going to have a Hoya moment, and we're going to show you some different Hoyas. This one I took down hanging off of my sun porch. This is a Hoya Bertonier that is doing its most. It is freaking covered in blooms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're everywhere. Like, there's more coming. There's a whole bunch down here. Let's see if there's some that are open. I can get it to focus on. Those aren't opened yet. Those are about to open. These are opened. I mean, they're beautiful and amazing. And they're just everywhere on this. Here's the downside to Hoya Bertonier. When it decides it wants to bloom, dude blooms like crazy. Like, there's probably 15 different bloom clusters on here right now. I can't really smell it right now because I'm congested, which is a good thing. But every Hoya like type has a different bloom, and they all smell different. Hoya Bertonier to me smells like yogurt, and I find that disgusting. But it's so beautiful. And then the blooms dry up and they drop, and some of them are dropping on me right now. And I'm getting, that smells like yogurt. I'm getting sap on me. Ew. So yeah, I'm gonna go hang this back up on the outside sun porch where it lives, because I don't like my house to smell like yogurt. Okay, now I've got 4 other ones. I have way more Hoya out there. There's a queen, a princess, a Chelsea, a pubicalyx, an australis, a crinkle 8, Curtisii. There's a Weetii over there. Gosh, I guess I have a lot of Hoya. But then I've got 4 right here that I will show you. This is a Hoya Calistophylla, and I love how these leaves look. It has never bloomed for me, although I've only had this about maybe a year. It's grown a ton. In fact, I'm sitting on a vine. So a Hoya will put out these big long vines, and then it will start putting leaves out at these different little nodes. But in the meantime, yeah, it'll throw out all these vines. And then once it gets really kind of root bound in this pot and mature and happy, it'll start putting out peduncles, and that's where the flowers come from. I haven't examined this one for peduncles, but I also just don't think that it's ready yet. But I mean, how beautiful is that? Speckles, and look how big that leaf is. Crazy, crazy pants. These other ones are smaller, and I have them in my plant cabinet so that they can kind of mature and grow. This one is a Hoya Matilde Splash. I want this little girl to grow and get really big and bloom for me one day. I just love these kind of round little leaves with their splashiness. I'm waiting to find, see, there's some new growth right there. There's new little leaves. I've been waiting to find one of these. I've seen some people on YouTube find them at like Home Depot and Lowe's. And like some of them are super splashy. Maybe one day. What I just showed you, the big giant one, was a Hoya Bretonnier. This is a Hoya Bretonnier variegated. I did find this at Lowe's. So it's the same idea. This is a little bit wider form than that one that I have, but it has white variegation on the inside. And it was much smaller when I bought it. It's growing. This one, the last one that I'll show you, just bloomed for me in the cabinet. When I bought this, it was maybe 2 years ago, and it was so much smaller. It's put off all this growth. I've had to put it on a stand in the cabinet to give some of these vines space. In fact, I may just have to move it out. It's just so big now. This is a Hoya Croniana Black. See if we can get it where you can see the leaves. And then I'll insert on the screen a picture what the blooms that it had just looked like. That is why I love Hoyas. No, they're beautiful just like this. Like, this is a gorgeous plant. But the blooms, they look like they're from another planet. And when they bloom, especially at night in the evening, the smell is so strong. So be careful. This one, the Croniana, just smells really floral. And even though this is closed in a cabinet in my dining room, you can see the peduncle there. That's what a peduncle looks like. My whole downstairs smelled like flowers. It was crazy. When my Carnosus, which is my Princess, and the Chelsea's technically like a Carnosa variety, to me they all smell like Tootsie Rolls. So this one, because it's been in there with its blooms, it kind of smells floral. That's all I've got. This is almost an hour long, but it's been 2 months since you've seen me, so you're gonna have plenty of videos to watch. I need to go get my laptop from my office so that I can properly do editing on this. I will see you guys, hopefully, beginning of December, end of November. That's what we're going to shoot for. See you then. One last one. I have to prop it against something, or it's so big and fat it flops over. And that's just not what you want. You want it more erect. This also blooms, and there'll be a little crown of bright pink flowers. I really want to say around the head of it, but around the tip, the peak of the cactus. And then they're just growing other things down here at the base, you know, like you do.